Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with my review for The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 8, the mid-season finale. Alright, so crazy episode this week, crazy episode here tonight. Wow, right? Mid-season finale, you knew something big was going to happen. Usually every mid-season finale and every finale, without exception, usually some character dies or something big happens at least. And yeah, no, I really don't think there's been an exception to that ever. So, really big episode this week and a very significant introduction to the new group that we will be seeing going forward. So, of course, we'll get into a recap here, in-depth recap here, breaking down some stuff, then get to my rating of the episode along my favorite character, probably obvious, but anyways, we'll talk about favorite character and then give some more overall thoughts of the episode, things I, really liked, things I didn't like, and all that stuff, not a lot of things I didn't like. I thought this episode was very, very good, and definitely better than episode 6 and 7, for sure. But again, there was some things that I didn't like that I do want to talk about. So, anyways, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Whispers are here. Let me know, what you're expecting going forward in the season. What do you think of this episode? What's going on with these new walkers or these whispers and all that stuff. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And of course, if you enjoy this review, really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel or leave a like on the review. So anyways, let's get into the recap here. So we start off with this intro, and it was definitely a good one. And I will tell you, I did rewatch the first about a half of the episode. That's why this one's a little bit later, because I really wanted to see the foreshadowing throughout, and there was a lot of foreshadowing throughout this episode, showing that, the spoilers, that Jesus dies, right? There was a lot of foreshadowing, and I saw it just within this intro bit as well, rewatching it, of course, knowing that Jesus does die. So the very beginning of the episode, so Daryl, Jesus, and Aaron are looking out over this field, and this scene was from the trailer, so, for season 9, so nothing big, nothing huge here, but, of course, it's still, a big deal with the Whisperers. So they see over a field, and they see the walkers milling around amongst each other, and this doesn't usually happen, right? Usually the herds are going in one direction, and one direction only, or if they switch that direction, they all walk towards there. They never really kind of group up like this, and get in kind of like a circle and just kind of walk around. And of course, this is weird, right? So they all recognize that it's weird. Jesus, you see, Jesus is the one who points it out here and says, this isn't normal, right? And so anyway, so they recognize that, but they're still far away. Like, this herd is still way into the distance in this field. And so they keep going on, and Daryl says, we'll loop back kind of thing, get past them, and then go, back towards where we found Rosita, and then hopefully find Eugene, right? And so anyways, so they go on, they keep going, and then we get kind of a shot of all these walkers in the field. And now on rewatch, I noticed this. So of course we know Jesus dies at the very end of the episode, right? I noticed that they actually, so in the very beginning, right, this walker then turns around kind of towards the camera, and we can see his face, and actually that walker that they show, or the Whisperer, is the one who kills Jesus later in the episode, and we actually see him kind of look towards the camera, or at least kind of show his face in that intro sequence. So really cool the way they did this, and if you were paying attention, it was pretty obvious by the end of the episode that Jesus was going to die with all this foreshadowing throughout the episode. So really crazy stuff there. Just some I really wanted to point out, and some I noticed. So anyways, great intro to the episode. So then we slow things down a little bit, and we get to Michonne and Magna's group, or Magna and company, ride up on the hilltop, and we see the hilltop's a little bit scared at first because they don't know it's Michonne, and so they clear all the fields out there, the farmers, and they think that riders are coming, right? So they're all kind of scared, but it just turns out to be Michonne, of course. So they let them in the gates, and Michonne is then told about Aaron, Jesus, and Daryl are out looking for Rosita, looking for Eugene, and then also, Tara tells her that, So Rosita went out with them, and Rosita is here, of course, and then she found out that last episode. And so, of course, she didn't know about this. She didn't know about Rosita and Eugene going out, and she definitely didn't know about Aaron going out to look for them either. So she's just been really kept in the dark here about a lot of things, and she's starting to realize that now. So then Tara says Magna and the others have a chance to be led into the hilltop, but of course they must earn their keep, and she is waiting until Jesus comes back to approve that they can stay, right? And so great news for the group, right? Great news for Magna and her group that they're going to be able to stay. And I don't think we ever doubted that they were going to be allowed to stay. And that's what it's looking like. So then Tara tells her that it's, I forget the exact line, but she said something like the band is back together, something like that, because, you know, everyone's kind of come back together, right? And it really kind of seems like that. You know, Daryl, and she says Daryl came down from his mountain, right? And then Aaron from Alexandria is coming back, and Carol is there as well at the hilltop now. And so they're, you know, all these kind of original people are all coming back and kind of converging on the hilltop. And they're all kind of there in one place. So that's very interesting as well. And you know what? Kind of convenient for the story, but you know, it definitely is cool to see all these characters back. And it's great to see Daryl back as well, because he's been gone for so long alone, let alone these other people that have just been in different communities. So really great stuff. So then we get one of my favorite scenes of the episode here with Michonne and Carol. This was a really great scene, and we really get in this scene, we really understand that these characters have not seen each other for probably about, you know, 3-4 years at least, maybe even the full 6 years that this time jump has passed. So really great scene here. So Michonne and Carol talk at the hilltop about the communities coming together for the fair, and Michonne kind of vehemently, you know, asserts this again, right? She's saying we have to look over our own, and that she won't be taking part in the fair. And it seems as though she never even responded to their invite to this fair. And so, yeah, so she's saying, you know, we have to look over our own. My responsibility is Alexandria, right? And I'm not willing to kind of come back and work together again with you guys, even though Carol and the Kingdom are really pushing this and trying to organize this fair. And it seems like they're on board, and it seems like the Hilltop would come on board if Alexandria did, but Michonne still refusing that, even though, I mean, Carol and her have been, you know, through thick and thin together. They've been almost there from the beginning, from the prison they've been together, and even Michonne won't, you know, do it for Carol, and so that's really telling you something, right? And so Carol then says, I know what happened to you guys. Again, they're kind of teasing this whole thing here with the scars, and, you know, Carol says, I know what happened to you guys, and then the Oceanside's brought up a little bit later from one of Henry's new friends there at the hilltop. So something is going on here, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. I think it has something to do with Oceanside, but we'll have to see going in the second half. But obviously something happened here in between these years to make Michonne and the others at Alexandria isolate themselves from the other communities. And I'm guessing we're going to get that explanation coming soon. So, great scene between these two women. Really, of course, they're real, you know, badass women in their own right? And this was a great scene to see both of them together. And like I said, they probably haven't seen each other for years, and we really got that in this scene. So, then, of course, we see Carol leave a little bit later, says goodbye to Henry, kind of an emotional goodbye, even though they'll probably see each other in like a month or so, I don't know. But emotional goodbye there for Carol, leaving Henry, you know, at the hilltop for probably the first time, right? First time since this time jump, at least. So anyways, then the Kingdom girl that we've seen, you know, I guess she's living at Hilltop now, but she decides to go back with Carol to the Kingdom, and that's kind of what it is. And Carol kind of dodges everything that happens then in the rest of the episode. And then we get to Daryl, Jesus, and Aaron again. This whole part with them was just really, you know, fascinating and intriguing the whole episode through. Anyway, so they watch the herd coming behind them then with binoculars as they have kind of circled back behind the herd now and are kind of, you know, away from them. And now they're kind of looking back, and the herd, it looks like it's more than doubled now, which is strange, right? Like, how has this herd gotten that much bigger in such a little amount of time? And now the herd is, again, coming right towards them, right? Like, it's, you know, it's kind of crazy. So the herd is, you know, kind of, is over in this field before, and they've moved, and now the herd has moved towards their direction. So then we see that Daryl's able to divert them a little bit with the alarm clock he threw earlier in the field, and so the alarm clock then goes off, or the alarm goes off, and then of course the walkers are kind of drawn towards that sound, and so then they're able to get a little bit of a lead on this herd. And but we do see again another foreshadowing here. Jesus still a little weary, but they continue on. So Aaron and Daryl are like, okay, yeah, the herd's gone now, we got them diverted, right? But Jesus stays there for a couple seconds and kind of looks at them, right? And he's like, he's a little weary. He expects maybe, he knows this is weird, right? He knows it's unusual, but he goes with Aaron and Daryl, and then they continue on. So again, more foreshadowing here. Then Michonne and Sadiq back at Hilltop check on Rosita, and this was a scene that I really expected last episode. I still don't understand how Daryl, Aaron, and Jesus are going out and they just know where Eugene is at this barn, because no one's talked to Rosita yet, except for Aaron and Jesus, where they found her, and she says Eugene was in a barn, right? So why would they not wait and, and check on Rosita and try to get her to give them more information about where this barn is and what they can expect? Because in this scene, as we see, Rosita wakes up and tells them, they have no idea what they are dealing with. And it's like, so what, why didn't they go to Rosita? And of course, they didn't know that, of course, right? But still, it would have made more sense if they went to Rosita and asked her what happened. But anyways, so we get this scene here. Sadiq obviously apologizes to Michonne for not telling her all these things, and Michonne's just kind of figuring out for the first time that they've been lying to her for a long time. And so anyways, she says that she's not willing to come again, together again with in the way the groups want her to. So she doesn't want to do this fair, and she's hell-bent on it. She's not doing this fair, and Sadiq obviously trying to persuade her otherwise, but that is broken up as Rosita suddenly wakes up in a frantic mood, right? And she's still kind of, frantic here, even after she's kind of slept it off now, and of course, got a little, I guess, I don't know. They said she was on an IV. So anyway, she dehydrated, so now she's back. But again, she's like still frantic right now. She's panicking. And so Michonne tells her that Daryl, Aaron, and Jesus have gone out already. It's fine, right? We're already looking for Eugene. But then she says she needs to help them as they have no idea what they are dealing with. And then, of course, we get the rest of the episode here with them trying to deal with this. So, really great little foreshadowing there again. So, anyways, would have liked to see a scene like that in last episode, but it was okay here. And Rosita, runs out of the bed, too. But we do not see her in the last scene of the episode, so I'm assuming that Michonne and Sadiq stopped her and said, no, you go back to bed, we'll go and tell them, type of thing, and that's what happened. So, anyways, then we get Daryl, Aaron, and Jesus out in the storm now at night, and it is real stormy and is really foggy. Really important part there that this plays later in the episode. So anyways, they're out there looking for Eugene, of course, and they come across a barn, right? This one matches what Rosita told them of where Eugene was. So then the dog goes into the barn, right? Daryl's dog sniffs out Eugene, actually, who is buried under a bunch of straw in kind of a wooden box in this floor of the barn. Actually kind of cool, but very claustrophobic, let me tell you. So anyways, he seems frightened, right? Just pretty much the same as Rosita, actually, at this point. He seems very frightened. Of course, he's been in that barn, in that hole, for 24 hours at least, a little bit more than that, maybe 36. And so anyways, so he's frightened, right? And he tells them right away about his knee and why Rosita had to leave him there, right? Because he would have just slowed her down and she needed to go and get him help, right? And so that's what happened. And then he tells them that they have to get out of there as soon as possible because the herd is coming back looking for him. And they're like, why would they do that, right? They do not understand this, of course. And Daryl says that they diverted them, earlier, right, with that alarm clock. He's like, well, we diverted them, it should be fine. But Eugene says that they will come back. They've already been there, twice or something in that night looking for him, or the night before looking for him. So he knows that the herd is going to come back. Of course, Daryl and the others, they don't have any idea what it is. So then this was great. Great exchange. So Eugene says, this wasn't a normal herd. Aaron says, what do you mean? He says, when they passed us by, we could hear them. They were whispering to each other. And Aaron says, or Jesus maybe says, you mean they were talking? And he says, I know it sounds weird. I know how it sounds, but Rosita heard them too, and she can corroborate that. Crazy stuff, right? It's like, okay, this guy's just been through something. He must be kind of hallucinating here, telling us they're talking, right? But it turns out, of course, that he is right. So then the dog begins barking again. They look out the windows of the barn, and lo and behold, right there upon them at the barn, the herd is back and in full force, right? This big herd is there. So just like Eugene said, this herd did come back and is looking for him, and now all of them, right? And so, of course, the three now, or the four of them now must kind of backtrack to the horses and try to get home, right, and get away from this herd. But Daryl here is still in denial. I don't know about Aaron and Jesus. Maybe they are too, but Daryl strictly in denial. He doesn't really believe anything Eugene's saying. He suspects it's a little weird, but he doesn't really buy it yet, right? But of course, later on he does. So then we get this part. I thought I would mention it, but I honestly thought this whole part of the episode was really kind of throwaway stuff, but I'll mention it. So Henry is out with his newfound friends here, getting drunk off some moonshine. I guess they're drinking there. In the apocalypse, of course, they still have alcohol. And so anyway, so they became so the friends take him outside and they begin playing a game with a walker kind of as bait in a hole that they have kind of chained up there. It's kind of like horseshoe, and they're throwing ropes to get around the walker's neck. And it's like, what kind of game is this, right? Of course. And so Henry quickly breaks it up, right? And just jumps in there and kills the walker with the stick. And he's like, what are you guys doing, right? He knows better than these kids. And so he is, smart enough to just jump in there and kill this thing before one of them falls in. It's inevitable, right? It's inevitable. One of them will fall in and get eaten or get bitten. And then all hell breaks loose and all this stuff happens. So all in all, I'll talk about this a little bit later when I get to my rating, but not a fan of all this stuff. I mean, we've literally seen this exact storyline play out with Carl in season 5 and 6, and even season 5 and 6, and then even in season 7, and the whole thing with Enid in season 5 and Ron. Like this, we've seen this whole thing, and this is such a cliche with the kid going out with his friends, they get him drunk and he gets into trouble. Like, come on. I mean, this is so unoriginal stuff here, and I get it. They're trying to build this Henry character, but it was just so disappointing to me that they would go this route and be so unoriginal with what this story is for Henry. And it's unfortunate because I really like Henry, and I really like the way they're taking him right now, but this was really bad in this episode, for me at least. So, and it wouldn't be bad if, we hadn't seen this in previous Walking Dead season with previous characters, or, in any other movie. Just disappointing here. But anyways, let's get back to the action with Jesus, right? And all the others. So Jesus questions why the herd double back on them. So they're kind of on the road now, taking a little bit of a breather while all the herd is still on them. And so anyway, so he says, why did the herd double back on us, right? This isn't normal. Eugene says he thinks they are evolving. He says if the brain is still alive, maybe it's possible that they can redevelop, they can remember how to talk, for instance. And then then Jesus kind of goes off on, and he's like, maybe they can strategize and stuff like this. And he's not wrong in a way. But anyways, so then Aaron comes back quickly and he says, they must move the right on their ass once again. So again, it's weird, right? This herd is just right on them and at all times tracking them. And so, obviously pretty crazy. So they decide that they must split up, which happens at every single one of these things in The Walking Dead. I don't know why they always split up, and almost all horror stuff, right? Anyway, so they decide they have to split up. So Daryl then says he will go alone, of course, with his dog, and try to lead the herd away, or most of the herd away, so that Jesus, Aaron, and Eugene can get some time to get back to the horses, because Eugene's going to slow them down anyways. And so hopefully they can get back to the horses while Daryl diverts them. So then we get this part with Negan. I hate to break up things, but I really like to follow chronological order here. So, back at Alexandria, the storm rages on there as well. And then we see Negan in his cell. And this was something that I think I saw coming, but it was still really awesome to see it. So Negan then throws his tennis ball he was throwing earlier in the episode. He throws the ball out of his cell, and it falls through the crack there and out of his cell. And then he notices then that the door is a little bit ajar. And I still don't understand exactly how it is, if someone forgot to lock it or the storm somehow, put it ajar. So I don't know. I don't know what caused this exactly, or maybe they just have never been locking it ever and just kind of been playing the mind game with him. It's kind of like Eastman and Morgan and Here's Not Here, right? Eastman never even locked the cell, and Morgan thought it was locked the whole time. So maybe something like that. I don't know. But anyways, the door is ajar and Negan walks out. He opens it and walks right damn out of that cell. And he grabs his tennis ball, of course. He's like, oh, I got my ball. But then he, split second, he's like, oh, wait a second, right? And he throws this ball away, right? And he goes toward the stairs. He goes toward the door to get out of the cell and get out of that kind of basement area there where he's being held. Negan is out. This is crazy scene. So again, we'll have to see who left the cell door open and how all that happened. But at least we know now he is out, and I just love that because we see him. He's focused on the tennis ball. He grabs the ball. But then it hits him, right? In that second it hits him, and he's like, oh, I'm free, right? I gotta do way more important stuff than grab this damn tennis ball. And then he walks toward the door. So, really great scene there with Negan, and he is out. So, anyways, now back to now this will be basically the end of the episode. So, Daryl and his dog then try to divert the walkers, and it looks like it's going to work, right? So Daryl uses even a firecracker he gets. Like, this is, definitely going to lead them away for sure, right? Draw them toward the sound and the sight of everything happening, right? So he uses this firecracker. He throws it then down on the street from the little rooftop that he's on, and the dog is barking too, right? So getting the walkers to come towards them. And at first it is working, right? The walkers take a few steps toward the firecracker and the dog, but then the walkers continue the other way back towards Eugene, Jesus, and Aaron down the road. And it's just crazy. Like, when has this ever happened that the walkers have not directly went to this source? And it has happened before, but usually with a bigger herd and less of a, of a distraction. But this is a huge distraction, quite a small herd, and yet they still continue going the other way. So this was crazy, right? These definitely aren't normal walkers. This is what kind of confirms it to Daryl, and I think he's still not accepting it, but he's just confused as hell. We see him kind of mouth the words like, what the F? Like, what is going on? Like, why aren't these walkers coming towards this way? Why are they still going towards them? And so, of course, his plans to divert the herd just fail. They totally fail, and the walkers are still headed towards the, of course, Jesus, Eugene, and Aaron. So then we get to see them. So Jesus, Eugene, and Aaron continue on, and they get to a courtyard, or I guess a cemetery there, guarded with some walls, brick walls. And so they figure if they go in, right, they can hold off the walkers a little bit. They have one kind of access point where they get in, but they figure all the walkers will kind of build up there, and they'll be able to get a little bit of a head start on them, right? And so they figure then they get to the one wall, and they try to, kind of boost Eugene up it because the gate they have there is kind of is held back in the sand, so they can't get that out. So they go over this wall, but then they figure that they're just not going to have enough time to get Eugene over this wall, and all three of them get over the wall before the walkers catch up to them. So they decide they must stand their ground and fight off the walkers, and then they'll take their time and go up the wall. So really great here, the final standoff kind of thing here with this herd. So then the walkers get in, right? So eventually they get in, and they actually get in pretty damn quickly. I'm guessing that it had something to do with a human pushing the walkers through. So then we see them kind of coming right for them. Of course, it's a very foggy, and the line of view is not that good, but we definitely see those walkers coming right towards them. So then we see Aaron and Jesus fight off a few in a badass manner, as always, using blades, right? Aaron has a little bit of a shorter knife, and Jesus has the sword, which was really great. Just awesome, right? Seeing them kind of fight them off, and pretty easily as well, right? And so they're able to do that. Then a few moments pass after killing the first few few whispers, or first few walkers, and they begin hearing whispers. And Eugene, right away, we see his face, and he's like, I recognize this, right? This is what we heard before. And that was crazy. So the whispers, we start hearing the whispers coming, and they're like, what is going on, right? You know, okay, what's happening, right? And then all of a sudden, before anything else happens, Michonne comes out of nowhere, and she arrives with the others, including Magna, and I believe the girl comes with Magna as well, and a couple others are there as well, including Daryl, of course, who catches up to them. And so they all come and try to help Eugene out the gate, and they finally do. They get the gate open then in the sand. They kind of dig it out, and they're able to get that gate open, so they get Eugene out then. This scene, this last scene was amazing. So they get Eugene out of the gate. They get it open. The rest of them kind of fly, or go through, including Aaron, because Jesus then says, oh, you know, I'll grab it, right? I'll grab these last few walkers. I'll kill them, right? I'll have some fun killing these last couple of walkers, and then I will come as well. I'll, you know, just a couple seconds. I'm going to kill these walkers, and then I'll be with you. So Aaron's like, okay, right? And he goes with the others and kind of, you know, goes for the gate, and, you know, they hold the gate, and they're waiting for Jesus. And then, what an amazing scene. So they're all kind of, you know, waiting at the gate for Jesus. Then, just as Jesus fights off the last couple walkers, I mean the last two walkers, he kills the first one, right? He kills the first one easily, and then he's, you know, doing his, you know, kung karate kind of stuff, right? He's kind of doing flips and spins and all this stuff, and so he's kind of just having fun, right? And so he stabs the first one, and then he goes to, you know, simply just kind of stab the last walker, right? The last one. He goes to stab the last one in the head, but the walker dodges his effort. Oh, like, it's just crazy, right? Like, we've never seen a walker move like that before. The walker just dodges it really quickly like this, you know, bows his head, comes back, and stabs Jesus right through the back of the chest. Wow, right? Just wow. So what just seemed like a simple kill to Jesus, he goes to stab him, the walker dodges it, and just a split second, then stabs him right in the back, through the chest, killing him. Insane. And maybe the most insane part is he holds Jesus up and says, you are where you do not belong, and then drops him to the ground. Crazy, crazy scene here. The Whisperers are here, and they kill Jesus. So the one Whisperer kills them. So, of course, Aaron and the others immediately charge in, right? I think a lot of them are still shocked, right? They're still shocked, but still they rush in and just try to kill whoever's trying to hurt them, right? So it looks like they kill the rest of the Whisperers' people, but also it looks like some of them get away. And so a couple of them get away, and then I think they kill the remaining ones who didn't get away, right? They didn't run fast enough kind of thing, right? So then they kill a couple of them, including Magna. She had a nice little kill there. So Aaron then goes to Jesus, who lies there dead on the ground. Aaron is just losing it, right? He's so saddened by this, but he's also shocked. Like, all the characters right now are shocked of what the hell just happened, right? And so they don't really have a lot of time to, you know, kind of break down here for Jesus, because they are trying to figure out what the hell happened, right? The others can't really believe what just happened. They're confused, of course. And then we see Daryl. Of course, it's Daryl who discovers what really happened. So, of course, Daryl killed Jesus' killer, and, you know, with the arrow in the head. So he then sees Jesus' killer laying there on the ground as he's dead, and he sees the back of his head, right? And so he catches this. So then he looks at the back of the head, and he cuts off the little stitches from the back. He tears the part off of his head and takes off the skin of it looks like a walker face, but it's really only the skin of one. So then he flips the dead body over after he took off the skin, and we see what looks to be a normal man's face behind the mask. Really insane. So the Whisperers are here. This kind of confirmed it for sure. These are the Whisperers. And of course the characters are like, what? You know, what the hell is this? Why were they wearing skins? And what's going on? Then, of course, the very end of the episode here, they uncover this. Daryl's holding up the mask, and then they start to hear whispers once again. So obviously they did not kill all of them. We then hear they are trapped. Circle back. and things like that. And they're right. They are truly trapped now between the gate and the rest of the Whisperers now who are in the graveyard. And now the Whisperers can come up behind them with the gate, and they are totally trapped in there. So really crazy stuff. The Whisperers are coming after them, and they are trapped in that graveyard. So crazy scene here. This is awesome, right? I can't believe it, right? This is awesome. So let's wait until episode 9, and we'll probably see the rest of the scene play out immediately at the beginning of the episode and see what the hell happens. I don't think anyone else would die, but something is going to happen here, and there's going to be confrontation with the rest of the Whisperers who are left in this graveyard coming after them. Really insane end to the episode. Alright, so in terms of a rating for this mid-season finale, this Season 9, Episode 8, I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 5. Really great stuff. So, first of all, a great introduction to the Whisperers. Really, really great. I mean, they've been kind of foreshadowing it from episode 6 even. Of course, with the ending of it with Eugene and Rosita, hearing them talk when the walkers go by there at the top of the hill. So they've been teasing this for a long time, but this was a great formal introduction to the Whisperers. Of course, we didn't get, there's still some going on with the comic books a little bit with an introduction like that, and I'm not sure that we're going to see that on a television series. Maybe this is then going to be the formal introduction, but we'll have to see what happens. But comic book, that introduction, insane. Heads on stakes and stuff like that. So again, I don't know if we're going to see that in the show. I wouldn't think so now after this episode, but an amazing introduction. Great cinematography for the final scene. Really great visuals for the whole second half of the episode with this storm and the fog. Just looked really awesome in that cemetery. That horror feel is really back with The Walking Dead. I mean, especially in this last scene with them, wearing walker skins. Like, this is something that we've never seen before in the show, and it's really great. So, of course, then, sad to see Jesus go. You know what, though? I saw it coming. I really saw this coming, even before the start of the episode, and I really can't even explain why. I mean, I just did. I don't know. I heard Talking Dead, of course, they announced last week that they'd have a surprise cast member, which, I would say 90% of the time means that someone died and they're going to be on Talking Dead at the live show afterwards. So that was a little bit of a tip-off. I saw Tom Payne post some on Twitter that said, crazy episode next week or something for this one. So that kind of led to it. And everything in the story just kind of led to it too, with Jesus being out there. A lot of focus on him last episode, which was unusual, right? And that is a huge tip-off of, who's going to die next. And it was Jesus. So, you know what? Sad death, but maybe one of the best deaths. I mean, this was maybe one of the best deaths in the last couple seasons for a character to go out like this in such a, brutal but surprising way. I mean, it's just such a shocking death here with Jesus. So, I saw it coming, especially at the start of the episode there with all this foreshadowing throughout. I was obvious to me that he was going to die, and it was just how, right? It was just how he was going to die, and the way he died was insane. So, really great stuff there. Not great that he died, and, we're never going to see... Well, we might see Jesus in flashbacks, but we're never going to see him alive again in the show. But really great way that they killed him off. So, then... all the stuff with Henry in this episode, I honestly thought was really not good. I did not like it. I expressed my kind of thoughts on it earlier, so I'm not going to go on a rant here. But again, really unoriginal. We saw this almost exact story playing out with Carl when he got to Alexandria. Maybe not the drinking part, but pretty much the exact same storyline with him and Ron and Enid and joining the kids and them, not being great. They're going outside of the walls. Like, I don't know. Why couldn't they think of something more original for Henry here? And again, I get that they're trying to develop his character. They got to give him some time here and some story. But this was just really bad story. I mean, this is such lazy kind of stuff here with Henry, but whatever. As long as he ends up being kind of the character from the comic books and the character that they're building it up to be, maybe I'll be fine with it. So anyways, if his part wasn't in this episode, this may even be a perfect episode for me. I really loved everything else in this episode. The whole stuff with Daryl, Jesus, and Aaron, and then Eugene, of course, comes. And the whole thing with Michonne, Carol, that was one of my favorite scenes from the episode. And Negan escaping. So really great episode. It's just this Henry stuff dragged down. And that's probably the only reason why this one's not at least, close to perfect, if not perfect. Really great episode. So anyways, let me know what your thoughts are on that. Do you agree with me? Do you like Henry? Do you like where they're going? Let me know. So, of course, my favorite character for this episode, I got to go with Jesus, Tom Paine. Tom Paine, wow, thank you so much for, 3 years? Was it 3 years that he was on the show? I think so, yeah, about 3 years, because season 6, right? And so he was really great, gave us a great performance, every episode that he was in the last few seasons. He was great in All Out War, too. I wish we would have saw more of him, actually. They didn't give him, actually, a lot of screen time throughout the war, but they didn't give a lot of characters screen time because they had way too many. But that's just what it is. So anyways, Tom Paine, thank you. Really great job throughout his time on The Walking Dead. And Jesus is definitely going to be missed. Again, I saw it coming, so maybe that kind of lightened the blow for me a little bit with seeing Jesus die, and maybe I'm not reacting the way I maybe would have if I didn't see it coming. But anyways, sad death for sure, but such an intriguing death though too, because of what is to come. So anyways, they said this on Talking Dead too, but if you think about it, Jesus introduced the group to the Saviors, right? He was the one who introduced them to Saviors. And now he dies introducing them to the Whisperers. So a really great bridge between groups here. And it turns out that he actually dies introducing them this time. So interesting stuff here. Just kind of a cool thing to point out there as well. So anyways, guys, let's just about do it for the review of The Walking Dead. That is it for the first half of Season 9. I really think this was almost a half of two halves. Of course, the first half being Rick, and then he leaves. And then now the last 3 episodes were kind of their own half with the Whisperers now. So really great stuff here. Can't wait. February 10th, Walking Dead will be back for Season 9 second half. Season 9, Episode 9. It's going to be awesome. And I think they're going to pick up right from where we left off in this episode. So crazy stuff. So Jesus, sad to see you go. But really great stuff coming here. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching this review. Thanks so much for support on these reviews and on the channel in general. Really do appreciate it. So anyways, guys, see you in February for The Walking Dead Season 9. Episode 9 and the rest of the second half. Again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you then.